granniopteryx. She knows the truth, she's linking every link.
For some people, what is the point of a national security advisor if he's not advising on something like this?
Well, he will be, but as I say, this was a decision taken by the CPS. We are disappointed it didn't go any further. And we are clear in our approach to China, which is we recognise the challenges, the threats, but also the opportunities that come. But the number one priority of this government is around keeping our country safe, and our national security will always be the number one priority.
So
I'm making this video about her responses to Trevor Phillips about the Gaza business. But I thought I'd play this to start with because you must have heard what she just said, that they're going to keep an eye on China, but their priority is to safeguard this country and keep this country safe and all that stuff. So you may well ask why the Labour government has given a great chunk of British territory to China. That is, they've given the Chagos Islands to Mauritius, and Mauritius is a China puppet. And as stupid as most of the people are on the front bench of our current parliament, I can't believe that they don't realise that giving a chunk of territory, which is like a battleship parked in the middle of the Indian Ocean and is at a strategic point that countries would weep to get control of, handing that to the Chinese by proxy is going to keep our country safe. Yeah, either she is irredeemably stupid or she is an arrant liar. I know which opinion I lean to on that judgment. I'm Granniopteryx. Please like this video, please share it, please subscribe to my channel. What is it? Like, share, subscribe. Yeah, click that like button now while your mind is still on it. You can contribute financially if you want. That's up to you. All the links are in the description. Really, sharing and liking is very important as well. Okay, let's hear what else Bridget Phillipson has to say, this time about Gaza.
all right, let's talk about Gaza. Prime Minister's heading for Sharm el-Sheikh tomorrow for the signing of the peace deal.
It might be an idea for Keir Starmer to actually be in Britain some of the time he's the Prime Minister, because every time I hear his name mentioned in the news, he is somewhere else. But this is a man who has confessed to preferring Davos to Westminster. I don't think he likes this country. I don't think he likes being Prime Minister, and I don't think he likes being here. And that probably doesn't bode well for the governance of our country. I also want you to notice the robotic way that Bridget Phillipson is speaking. I mean, Keir Starmer has a particularly nasal and monotonous whine, but Bridget Phillipson is quite close behind him in the "I'm putting you to sleep with my words" category. But I'm wondering whether it's a sign of her inability to engage with the truth. So she is just saying stuff and she's repeating it. She's probably rehearsed it, but she's not a good enough actress to give it any emotion.
Is that a signal that we are prepared to put British troops into the area to help as part of the stabilisation force in phase 2?
We have no plans to do that. But
right, hang on. First of all, I do not want any British soldiers on that soil. It's cursed. Gaza is cursed. It's cursed by its own people, but they are the least reliable people on the planet. And I don't want any young man or woman from this country ending his or her life on that sand. I don't know why anyone is... let the Arabs do it. I mean, the Palestinians are the Gazans are a huge problem for the rest of the Arab world. It's not just us. Why are we responsible for the mess that's there? By all means, help Israel to maintain its stability, because that's the only place where Christians can find a safe haven now, and Druze and Yazidis and anyone else. But Gaza, let the Arab countries deal with Gaza. It's their problem. They created it. Why are we responsible for it? That's really infuriating. Hang on, I'm going back a little bit.
About Gaza, Prime Minister's heading for Sharm el-Sheikh tomorrow for the signing of the peace deal. Is that a signal that we are prepared to put British troops into the area to help as part of the stabilisation force in phase 2?
We have no plans to do that, but the Prime Minister's presence in Egypt tomorrow demonstrates the key role that we have played in moving towards...
Key role. The only key role that this government has had is sticking its foot out to trip Israel or America up when they are trying to get something done. That's just about the only key role this government has achieved so far.
The peace settlement that's now in place.
And when she says they have no plans to put British youth out there, that makes me think that probably that's exactly what they're planning. The cheek of it.
We all hope that the ceasefire will hold. We all hope that in the next few hours...
Oh, the ceasefire isn't holding, by the way. Hamas have already broken it, and according to a couple of sources I saw this morning, they are going on a rampage through the civilians of Gaza, summarily shooting people they disagree with. So they're not thinking of relinquishing power in any way by the looks of things.
We will see the release of hostages who've been held for an unconscionably long period of time, and that through this process we move to the next phase where...
You know, I'm surprised her bottom isn't sore from sitting on that fence. On the one hand, they are talking about how terrible the Gazans acted, and on the other side, they're talking about giving them, all right, you're total bastards, sadistic, horrible, vicious people, but we're going to give you a state, or rather we're going to say you should have one, because whatever Starmer says, it's not going to result in any reality so far. There are people trying to pretend that we are some sort of power in the world right now. Well, we're not, and we're not because of people like Starmer.
Gaza can be rebuilt, where humanitarian aid gets in, and we move to that enduring and lasting peace where the Palestinian people...
Enduring and lasting peace, there's a nice little, sort of sound bite.
...can have their own state and live in peace alongside a safe and secure...
They can have their own state and live in peace. Yeah. Do they sound like the sort of people who would live in peace even with each other? Never mind their next door neighbours they despise with such a visceral loathing.
Israel.
When you say the key role, what was our role? This was the Americans and the Israelis.
Good for you, Trevor. Right. Britain was out of that loop altogether, and it was out of the loop because of what Keir Starmer had been saying.
What part did we play in it?
We have played a key role behind the scenes in...
and we're supposed to believe that.
...shaping this. It's right that we do so because it's in all of our...
It's right that we do so. I want you to remember that because it crops up once or twice.
...interest, including our own national interest, that we move to a lasting peace in the region.
What are the national interests of Britain recognising a Palestinian state in Gaza? There are no national interests. As it so happens, Israel is now no longer sharing intelligence reports with Britain, partly because of the "we'll let them have a state" business, but mostly because they are worried about spies feeding stuff to Hamas in Britain, in the Home Office. They're worried about the security of the British government. Let's go back to that again.
We have played a key role behind the scenes in shaping this. It's right that we do so because it's in all of our interest, including our own national interest.
And she's just lying about that. It is absolutely against our national interests to recognise any sort of a Palestinian state anywhere in that area. It would be in our national interests if there were no Arabs at all in Gaza and Israel would be completely in control of all that territory. That actually would be in our national interest. Of course, that's sort of out of the question, isn't it?
That we move to a lasting peace in the region.
Well, when you say behind the scenes, like what? I mean, it seems to everybody else in the world that this has been done by Trump and the Israelis and Hamas. What part did we play?
These are complex matters of diplomacy that we are involved in, but we do...
Yeah, but I'm not going to detail it.
...do welcome and recognise the critical role that the American government played in moving us to this point. What matters now, of course, is how we move beyond this immediate...
All right, let's change the subject.
...end to the war, moving towards that lasting peace that we all want to
Here we go with the lasting peace again.
see. And that is why we've recognised a Palestinian state, but why alongside that we're committed to making sure that a safe and secure Israel...
A safe and secure Israel. I mean, this is why I was talking about that robotic quality of her voice. She is not coming out with a single original thought. They're just a series of bullet points that she's probably spent the previous evening memorising. They're not even connected to what was being said before. So it's obvious she's just shoving in the list because that's what she's learnt.
endures.
The reason I ask this is because, as you say, we recognise a Palestinian state. Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, said that actually made it more difficult to land.
Of course it did, because as soon as Hamas heard that, they said, this is the fruits of what we've done. So our bad behaviour, the rape, the torture, the disgusting behaviour, that was all worth it because we've got Britain to recognise our state. Can she not see how disgusting that is? How ashamed I am of the British government. Ashamed of my British passport for that craven, appeasing behaviour. I wouldn't mind. It's not appeasing a foreign entity. It's appeasing the nutcases behind him. He doesn't even have the strength to stand against them. Now, I'm talking about Keir Starmer, of course. But then he gets out of the way of those people behind him quite a lot, doesn't it? Spends his time in aeroplanes.
The deal. What's really going on here? I mean, was that some sort of clever strategic double bluff? I mean, the Americans say we made it more difficult. You're saying that we played this key part. What's true?
Well, we believe...
I don't think she knows what truth is. I honestly think that there's a whole lot of people in government now who have no ability to perceive the truth in any way. They've trained themselves not to. Just a minute, let's just get back a little bit.
But given the scale of the conflict and what needed to happen, we felt it was the right thing to do to...
All right, given the scale of the conflict and what had to happen, we think, I don't know, what does she say? We think that was the right thing to do. Let me bring it down to apples and oranges, OK? You've got a kids' party. There's one kid who wants all of the cake. But there are 10 other children there at the party. So this kid takes the tablecloth and pulls it up and everything ends up on the floor. The jelly, the dessert, the crisps, the lot, and the cake. And then the responsible adult in the room says, OK, little Jihad, I mean, that's a name, isn't it? OK, little Jihad, well, seeing as you've made a mess of the table and that food's on the floor and nobody else wants it, go ahead, you can have it all. That's basically what she's saying. There's a dog wandering about there, if you're hearing some extraneous sounds.
Recognise that Palestinian state, but I should also just emphasise that the reason this conflict, of course, this phase of the conflict has begun, or began, was following the appalling events, the appalling atrocities of the 7th of October.
So here's the fence, you know, she's saying, oh, these are appalling atrocities. But, yeah, it doesn't matter. Because of those appalling atrocities, we're going to give these spoilt brats, these religious nutters, these awful, demonic people, we're going to say they should have a state. The only hope I have for this is that they are so evil, vicious, and you know, I've said before, you can't use the word animals about them because animals wouldn't act the way they did. Lower than animals. They're never going to have a state because they're going to end up slitting each other's throats first. Sorry, yeah, I think, just a minute, I'm just going to let him out. I think he's telling me he wants to get out of the attic. Come on. Yeah? Yeah, okay, go on. Here. Come on. Right? Okay. You know what? Him and my horse, it's the only thing that's keeping me sane. All right.
October. And as we, over the course of the next 24 hours, what we all want to see are as many hostages as possible released home to their families.
No. What we all want to see is Hamas out of power. And now she's talking about as many hostages as possible. No, the agreement was all of them. All of them. But she's already leaving herself a back door open. As many as possible. Yeah, oh, please be nice. Just like the police asking those pro-Palestine people, don't do a demonstration today. We need our forces to deal with the synagogue business. And these guys say, no, what are you going to do about it? And the police say, yeah, all right, go ahead. That's what she's doing.
And those brought home.
All right, looking forward, the government keeps saying there can be no role for Hamas. How do you...
She was almost going to say something there, wasn't she? But she decided not to. I wonder what she was going to say. Another conciliatory thing. Well, maybe one or two of them, something like that. And then she bit her tongue.
You get to decide for the Gazans who governs them.
Well, this has also been an agreement that's been reached with the Arab League, who have recognised there can be no role for Hamas. We are clear that a terrorist organisation like Hamas that was responsible for the most deadly atrocity, the largest killing of Jews since the Holocaust, can have no part in the reconstruction of Gaza or in a future Palestinian state. But that is not just the view of our government. That is the view of...
Right, there's the back door. Yeah, we think they shouldn't have it, but... Yeah, well, the Arab League, you know, we have no control of. So on the one hand, she's saying that the British government did do something. And on the other, she's saying, well, we're totally powerless. Make up your mind, woman.
Arab states as well.
What about the view of the Palestinians, the Gazans themselves? They may decide they want Hamas.
I'm afraid when you look at the appalling atrocities of September...
The appalling atrocities. Yeah, you can say that, but you're not doing anything about it. And you're not showing the outrage you should be showing.
Of the 7th of October, there can be absolutely no place for a vile terrorist group like Hamas, who killed countless innocent civilians, took hostages into Gaza, and are responsible also, alongside this, for significant suffering and inflicting significant violence even on their own people.
Can you trust a vile terrorist group to stick to the deal that we've been made then?
Well, that's why it is essential to have US backing for this. And we all hope that it endures. Of course we do.
You see, pausing it darkened the screen. But at the bottom it said, Phillipson says there's no role for Hamas. But, you know, tomorrow when Hamas is there at the negotiating table, she'll be saying, well, yeah, there's a role for Hamas. And let's wipe the slate clean, move on, let's forget what happened yesterday when I was talking to Trevor Phillips. What's the word situation ethics? Why is that popping into my mind?
It's a hope. It's not certainty.
Yeah, Phillips is, he's nailed that down.
Sadly, there can be no certainty. We're hopeful this peace will endure as we move towards the next phase of this negotiation. But no one can give any form of absolute cast iron guarantee. I mean, I wish the world were less volatile and we could do that. But we can be clear that Hamas will have no role in the reconstruction as we move towards a Palestinian state. Somebody
who will have a role is Tony Blair. Did he consult the Prime Minister before taking on the membership of the Board of Peace, which so far is the only member?
I'm afraid I simply can't answer that question. What I do know is that what happens in the next phase of the peace process that needs to take place will be a matter for the Americans, the Israelis.
OK, all right, my liver won't take any more. Right, that's it. I just wanted to go through that. I don't know why. Some sort of masochistic urge, I suppose. It was more, not that I wanted to talk so much about Gaza, as about the ineffective mendacity of this government. I think that's more of an illustration of that than of anything else. Whatever happens in Gaza, it's absolutely nothing to do with us. Absolutely nothing. And the joke is that even Hamas doesn't want Tony Blair. OK, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.